Your purpose. It's something everybody talks about, but few people actually understand well. For some people, they know exactly what they want to be when they grow up, and for some people, it's difficult to figure out. It can feel extremely daunting when you don't know exactly what you want to do with your life. You feel lost, you try to figure it out. And in this video, we're going to talk about how you can go about finding your passion for yourself. Hello, good listeners. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Cliff Weitzman. I'm the CEO of Speechify. And in this channel, we talk about my entrepreneurial musings, my idea on how to make myself and other people the best version of ourselves. And today we're going to talk about how to find your purpose. Here's a roadmap for how I walked through, my life and my career, and how I figured out what my passions were and how to spend all my time working exactly on those. So first of all, is purpose innate or something that you figure out for yourself over time? And if you study something in university, are you tied to working on that thing for the rest of your life? When I was in preschool, I wanted to be Prime Minister of Israel, a billionaire, a pop star, and I wanted to get a Nobel Prize. Over time, I got to know myself better. And I realized that I actually didn't care that much about being a billionaire. What I cared about is creating as much value in the world as possible. I'm not exactly sure how I found those trajectories as a kid of things that I was excited about, but I can tell you that it was not those things. I'd probably be excited about basketball or parkour or gymnastics. When I'm exposed to something and I'm curious about it and I'm interested in it, I start to dream. And my brain immediately kind of finds a way of how can you careerify this? The thing is, if you can make a thing that you're very excited about, something that can also support your lifestyle, you found a really amazing thing. Now, my purpose in Speechify, if you really look into the why is I want to make sure that reading is never a barrier to learning for anyone. To find a career-led purpose, there's really three things that you want to intersect. Number one, you want to have a natural aptitude for it. Number two, you want to have a natural joy from doing that thing. And number three, you want to create some value for society by that activity. Are you locked into the first career you choose, or whatever you study in university? The answer is obviously no. What matters is you, more than what you know, and your growth mindset, and your ability to learn, because all the information already exists in the internet. Here's how I think about how the human brain is put together. You try to gain as much knowledge as you can over time. And then by thinking and by writing and by talking, you organize that information in your brain. The cool thing about now is all the information is one click away from you via your phone or your computer. And so your brain just needs to be a really good decision-making machine and execution machine that gets things to happen. So what you studied in school doesn't matter anymore because it's not the information that you studied. It's the mindset and the training in being a good thinker who is persevering that is most important. Why is it important to have a purpose? There's a great saying, love your job and you'll never work a day in your life. And it's very, very true. I get so much energy from everything that I do when it comes to Speechify, and I don't feel like I'm doing a job. I feel like I'm living my purpose. For me, it's even more cool because I get to travel the world, work with my best friends, work only in the hours where I get energy. So I, for example, go to sleep quite late and I work until 3, 4 in the morning often, but I might not start working until 10 or 11 a.m. after I went for a run and worked out. That gives me energy. I had one real job in the past, and I had to show up at 7 a.m. and work until 5 p.m. And between noon and 3 p.m. I was just exhausted. I was a zombie at the desk. But more importantly, there's real meaning to the work that I'm doing. I'm not just pushing around paper. I'm not just trading stocks. I'm creating real value that changes the world in a material manner and really leaving a legacy that I specifically care about. And when I started Speechify, one thing I quickly identified was I get the most pleasure by increasing the quality of people's lives. Your purpose does not need to be career-led. It can be that your purpose is to be an artist, to be an athlete, to be a mom, to be a dad. And that's the thing that you really want to focus your life on. In which case, either you have some sort of other financial support, or you find a day job that supports you financially, but your purpose does not need to be your career. And that's a very important thing to realize. It just happens to be that, for me, my career ended up also being my focus. It could have been that my purpose would have been music, in which case I would have worked a normal job until I found a way to make music support my life. Always, 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 always take the role that you will get more energy, will you find better friends, will you grow more as a person, will you learn more, and what your purpose is. And don't care about the money to begin with. Money will, by and large, solve itself. Because if you put yourself in the place where you're going to learn the most, you're just going to create so much value that you will get to harness some of that value for yourself, and that's the ideal. The ideal is not playing a zero-sum world, but in a plus-sum world where you add value to the equation, and then you can harness that value, and that's going to make you more financially than any other alternative. There's a very powerful book by a psychologist named Viktor Frankl, who went through the Holocaust. And he came up with a really good framework called, one who has a why can bear any how. And so for him, the why was, finding his family at the end of the Holocaust. And somehow that allows you to defend your brain, put up a wall, and just slog through anything. There's another really good framework that was presented by Simon Sinek in a TED Talk called The Golden Circle. And it talks about the what, the how, and the why. For Speechify, the why is we want to make sure that reading is never a barrier to learning for anyone. The how is, we build really good deep learning-based text-to-speech. And the what is the iPhone app, Chrome extension that actually enables you to have that functionality. But because I have such a strong why, you can never convince me that text-to-speech was not going to solve the problem. You know, Speechify didn't work for the first 2 years. We didn't have really great retention. People didn't use the app much, but I didn't quit because it was clear to me. It changed my life. Text-to-speech fundamentally changed my life. For the 15 years beforehand, I went from being a kid who could not perform in school to being the top of my class and being the most well-read person that I knew, and it was just because of text-to-speech. So even though people didn't use it, my why was so strong that you could not stop me because the market told me my product would not work, and yet I refused to stop. And so, for example, if you are someone who was obsessed with audiobooks and audiobooks change your life, or podcasts, or text-to-speech, send us a message to Speechify. We'd love to work with you. So your purpose is not necessarily something that's already inside of you. You have to go out and find it in the world. And the way you find it, you unlock it by having different experiences, by reading books about the lives of different people, by talking to other people who you're inspired by. You know, I still to this day will send 5 cold emails, Instagram messages, Facebook messages a day to people who I find on the internet and think are really cool. And then I'll invite them to hang out with me, I'll go hang out with them, and I get inspired by them. As always, thanks for listening. Click the link below to download the Speechify iOS app, the Speechify Chrome extension, the Speechify Android app, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again next week.